I'd like to share with you today a very beautiful idea shared in the book Ohev Yisrael. Now, the Ohev Yisrael, if you're not familiar with him, his full name was Rabbi Avram Yeshua Heschel of the city of Apt. He actually passed away in the city of Mezebutch, which was the city that the Baal Shem Tov lived in. To make a long story very short, the Ohev Yisrael, or Avram Yeshua Heschel of Apt, lived a little over 200 years ago. He was one of the most famous and influential Hasidic rabbis. We could stand there all day and talk about him and learn from his teachings endlessly, but we just have a few minutes. So I'd like to share with you a beautiful idea he shares. Now before that, as I just mentioned, he's nicknamed Ohev Yisrael, which means the lover of Jews. Why is he nicknamed that? Because the story goes is that in the last few moments before he left this world and moved on to Olam Haba, while lying on his bed, he turned to his students who gathered to share the last few moments with their Rebbe, and he said to them, Chevra, listen up please. I know that in a few moments after I move on into the next world, you're going to start arguing and talking about what you want to write on my tombstone. Now I'm sure you're going to think of writing that I was a genius, Gaon, Tamid Chacham, Atzum V'Nora, that I was an unbelievable scholar and I knew the whole Torah. But please don't write that, because the truth is, when I get to Shamayim and they say to me, Avram Yeshua Heschel, did you study Torah? So I'll say, yes, I studied Torah, but the truth is, I probably could have gotten an hour up earlier and learned 25 hours a day. I probably could have used my time a little wiser and learned a little more Torah. So it's not true to write that I was a big scholar in Torah because I didn't give it all I had. And when I get to Shamayim and they're going to ask me, Rabbi Avram, did you do all the mitzvot? Were you medakdek with all the mitzvot? So again, I'll be able to say, yes, I did my best. But if you're asking me, could I have done more? So yes, I probably could have done some more. So please don't write on my tombstone that I fulfilled all the mitzvot in the Torah in the highest caliber with all the chumrot, because I could have put a little extra effort into it. And so Rabbi Avram Yeshua went on and on, telling them what not to write. Finally, he said, the one thing you can write on my tombstone is the following. When I get to Shamayim and they say to me, Rabbi Avram, did you love every Jew with every fiber of your being, with all your heart and body? So then I'll be able to stand up strong, broad shoulders, and say flat out to them, you know what? Heavenly court, I loved every Jew with every ounce of my being, and I couldn't have loved them more. So that you can write on my tombstone, Ohev Yisrael. And it's very cute. On his tombstone it says, here lies Avram Yeshua Heschel of Apt, who passed away on the 5th day of Nisan, and so on. And he told us not to write any praises about him, just that he was Ohev Yisrael, that he was a lover of all Jews. And that's what they did. Imagine if we could be on a level where we mamish know 100% that we loved every Jew with all our heart and soul. I bless us to be there one day. In any case, he has a very beautiful book, which is called Ohev Yisrael. So in that book, and he talks about finding the good in everything and trying to always lelamed zchut, to teach something good and meritorious about something or somebody, even though it might seem very bad. And he was famous for doing that in his lifetime. Like we just said, he loved every Jew, and throughout his whole life he would try to find the good and talk about the good that could be found in everything, even when it's not so obvious. So you know today the economy isn't doing the best, and you could go on and on blaming everybody. You can blame Bush, and you can blame Madoff, and you can blame your own investors and your own decisions. But the truth is, the main person to blame, the main two people to blame, and this I don't think is considered Lashon Hara because it's in the Torah, and we read it once a year at least, are Adam and Chava, Adam Arishon and Chava. Because of them, we have to work to make a living. Because of them, life isn't so easy. And now that was a punishment they were given after they ate from Eitz Hadat, from the tree of knowledge. So even to them, Rabbi Avram Yeshua Heschel of Apt, the Ohev Yisrael, tried to find some good in. And when he talks about the whole episode of them eating from the tree, so he starts earlier actually. We know that on the third day, when Hashem creates grasses, vegetation, trees, flowers, and so on, so the pasuk says, Vayomer Elokim, Tatsheh haaretz deshe, esev mazri'a zera, etz pri oseh pri. Hashem asked, commanded, ordered the ground to bring forth trees that tasted like fruit and that bore fruit. That was the original plan, that the tree itself would have a fruity taste. The bark itself would taste like fruit, and it would also bear fruit. But what happened? And that's what it says. Etz pri, a fruit tree. The tree itself would taste the fruit, and oseh pri, and it would bear fruit. What did happen? What happened is, vatotzeh haaretz, the earth brought forth, deshe esev mazriah zera lemineu, ve'etz oseh pri. The trees that have brought forth were only trees that bore fruit, not trees that tasted like fruit. Which basically we could sum up to say that the earth sinned. The earth rebelled against Hashem. It did not bring forth what Hashem asked. Hashem asked for fruit trees that bore fruit, and it just brought forth trees that bore fruit. So the question is, why would the earth do something like that? This is a very philosophical, Hasidic kind of question, but why would the earth rebel against Hashem? Why didn't it do as Hashem asked? So the Ohev Yisrael points out very beautifully, and he shares an idea that the earth knew that eventually Adam Harishon would be created, that humanity would be created. And humanity was not just part of the 6 days of creation. Humanity was the epitome of it all. Everything was created for human beings' purpose, to elevate and use in a constructive and positive way, to fix the world, to make the world a godly, holy, and lovable place. So the earth knew that humans would be created, and they would be created of earth, of itself basically, and of a part of Hashem, of a neshama, the spiritual and the physical. Now the earth knew that in the neshama we have the Yetzer Tov and the Yetzer Hara, and quite often we don't always listen to the good guy. Once in a while we lean to the Yetzer Hara and do what he asks and what he advises. The earth was very smart. The earth said to itself, if Adam Harishon is the first creature to sin, and it sins, then that would seem very bad, because Adam Harishon is the epitome and everything is created for it. And that could cause a big ruckus in all the worlds, and who knows where that could lead the world to and what effect it would have on the rest of creation. So it figured, if I'm the first one that sins, and if I put it into my own DNA, into the earth DNA, this possibility to sin, so eventually and we know everybody sins at least once in their lifetime, unfortunately. So when humans sin, when Adam Harishon sins, there will be room to say that it wasn't from their neshama, it wasn't from their godly spirit, it didn't have to do with the Yetzer Tov and Yetzer Hara, it had to do with their DNA, with the earth that they were created from, because the earth itself was the first creation to not do what Hashem asked of it to do. When the earth itself rebelled and only created trees that bore fruit and not trees that tasted like fruit as well. So what the earth did is what's called by our rabbis avera lishma, a sin for the sake of Shemaim. It sinned, so to speak, okay, metaphorically speaking. The earth sinned to make Adam Harishon look much better. And this way, when Adam Harishon a few days later did sin and not listen to Hashem, there was room to say, you know what? It's not really because of you. It's unfortunate. It's because you were created of earth, and earth sinned, so therefore it's part of your DNA. But truthfully, on your neshama level, you would never sin, and you would never want to go against Hashem. And this, of course, would make the seriousness of his sin much less, and the impact it would have on the rest of creation and on Hashem much less. And that's why the earth sinned. So we see very beautifully here how Rabbi Avram Yeshua Heschel of Abt even tries to see the good in the first sin in all of creation. Many people think usually of Adam Harishon and Chava as being the first sin. But we see it was the earth that sinned first. Even there, the Ohev Yisrael tries to see the good in why it went against Hashem. So I bless all of us to not only see the good in every human being, but to also see all of the good in all of creation, and each and everything around us, and every circumstance we're in. And one day after 120, or you know what, after 130, there's no halacha that you have to say, you should live to 120. So after 130 years, when we reach Shemaim, I bless that all of us can stand up there and say, with a firm belief, that we loved every Jew, that we loved every single human being in the world, with all our heart, with all our body, and with all our soul. Shalom, shalom.